Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. Hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we are going to check out an article just posted by Warhammer community, and that is for the Old World Almanac for Warhammer the Old World, as we're getting a checkout of another part of the game. And this part is all talking about morale and psychology within the game. So for those who've played Warhammer Fantasy before, this was of course a major part of the game. Psychology, morale, leadership, all of that sort of stuff, fear, stupidity, all of those rules were massive parts of the game, and many units relied or were hindered heavily by them within the game. For those who don't know, these were generally rules that could come down to a dice roll on whether or not your unit actually did anything at all, whether your unit was cowed and became a weapon skill 1, or whether your unit just charges into an enemy and they literally run for their lives. Now, we're going to take a look at this, and the first of these is morale. I'm going to have a look at the break test, which we did see in the last one. So last week we discussed the nitty-gritty of combat, seeing what happens as the once spittle-flecked Chaos Warrior crashes into the ever so lightly quivering spear you're holding. And as we saw, it's quite rare for a round of melee to end in a draw, and where there's a loser, there are consequences. The first of these is the break test, a leadership roll modified by how badly you lost the combat, with 3 outcomes: Blake and flee, fall back in good order, and give ground. So, as you can see, a unit of Swordmaster's Leadership 8 have come off worse in combat against some Stone Trolls and have lost by 3 points. They must now make a break test with 3 possibilities. In the first case, the losing unit runs in the opposite direction if they break and flee. So from whatever caused it to flee, they run 2d6. This is pretty similar to sort of what we know and expect. Now, if they are caught by the enemy unit, they can effectively be ran down. So try not to break and flee in short order, pretty much. On the other hand, a unit that falls back in good order is still beating a hasty retreat, but they've not yet lost their fighting spirit. They can discard the lower of the 2 dice when they flee and automatically rally and reform at the end, ready to receive the charge of the pursuer or hit back in the next turn. So that's pretty cool. So you still flee, but you automatically rally back. This of course means you'd just be stuck in combat, maybe deeper in your lines. Giving ground is the best result when losing combat. The loser simply steps back 2 inch, terrain permitting, attempting to put much needed space between them and foe, unless of course the winner chooses to follow up and press their advantage, in which case the combat continues. Running away isn't the only thing on the minds of rank and file of the old world though. There's also a whole world of psychology, as we sort of alluded to at the start. So let's talk about this. I like that, it's not always just get run down, because sometimes you would fail a test by like 1 on this by a unit that probably shouldn't be failing, and you would just get run down by an unfortunate roll on your flee, and your opponent just crashes through your lines. Having, fall back in good order and give ground there, make for some interesting sort of dynamics and changes, and sort of give us a nice ebb and flow of the battle line sort of pushing against one another, which I think could be quite nice on the tabletop to not only play but look at as well. If you can force an enemy unit to give ground, does that potentially, open up the options of having, charges into flanks and other sort of things, with sort of movement? Are we still going to see the light cavalry be able to have as many free reforms as they want? If a light cavalry can make someone push back or give ground, can they then, zip through gaps in enemy lines to harry the artillery at the back of the field? Could be quite interesting to see how that's all going to work. But psychology, so all the classic psychological effects are back, as we alluded to, a few of them: fear, terror, stupidity, animosity, which is fantastic, that is mostly for orcs, frenzy, unbreakable, stubborn, and hatred. While in previous games psychology was separate from the rest of the universal special rules, it's all now found in one place in the core rulebook. We'll be looking at other universal special rules in a future almanac, but this week a few short of those will work. So units causing fear, for instance, will have enemies quaking in their boots. If an enemy with lower unit strength wishes to charge a fear-causing unit, it must take a leadership test or will fail. Already in combat with that scary regiment, you take a leadership test or suffer -1 to hit. So this is pretty similar to what it was in 8th. In fact, almost identical. Terror is even worse though. If you're charged by a beast with this effect, you need to take the test or you will flee. Terror also applies a -1 penalty to opposing leadership tests when taking break tests. So cool. Definitely, you know, that's Terror, the same thing. Terror just is the extra thing of, I'm charging you, are you even going to stand ground? So you can see, oh, we got our first stat line here, which is pretty cool. A Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, movement 7, weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 2, strength 6, toughness 5, 6 wounds, initiative 4, 5 attacks, leadership 9. So we see Stomp is back in here as well from that. Armored Hide 2, Armor Bane 2, Close Order, Large Target, Immune to Psychology, Ensorcelled Weapons, Storm Cooled Terror, and the Quickening Storm. So finally we can touch on Frenzy that gives models in the unit an extra attack, and also immunity from fear and terror. A frenzied unit, however, must always charge if able to. We know that. And then Hatred, if it's going along the lines, a lot of these are pretty similar. Hatred was rerolls to wound, if I'm remembering correctly. But next week we'll click our fingers and an entire article on magic will miraculously appear. And so just a little thing. Note that units can cross the edge of the battlefield and remain in play in other circumstances, such as when performing a maneuver. This is interesting. So no more like getting stuck and not being able to pivot off the battlefield. That's interesting, because that was the thing that happened in fantasy. You used to have to go off the battlefield if you needed to reform and it took you over. That's pretty cool. All in all, I like a lot of what I'm seeing with the Old World Almanac. It's definitely harkening back to 8th and picking up some things along the way from not only its own edition, but other games as well. I've seen things that, you know, make me think of Kings of War, Conquest, Song of Ice and Fire, even War of the Ring, which was GW's own other rank and flank game for a time there, which is the Middle-earth rank and flank style. It was a really good game, by the way. I'm liking a lot of what I'm seeing for this. There's a lot I remember. There's some new things that are really interesting and I think will add a lot to the game. But I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts. What have you thought about all the almanacs? I know we haven't been keeping up an awful lot with them. Unfortunately, when the first few started coming out, I was incredibly sick. But we'll be trying to count up with them now. If you'd like to hear our thoughts on all the previous ones, and maybe we release all the previous ones, let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And so, that's the end of the video. We hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below, letting us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our great little community here, we have a Discord server linked down in the video's description, and also linked down there are the best ways to help support the channel as well. Our Patreon and YouTube members down there are fantastic ways to help support the channel, and if you'd like to get a shout out like all these people, you can go and join up today. So with that said, we'd like to give a shout out to all our Patreon and YouTube members. So thank you to our Patreons: Rob B, Broken Chef, Andy C, Grimscold, Colorblind Magic, Benjamin Swallows, James Cater, Mark Harvey, Domir, Average Wargamer, Q Damac, Andrew Bowen, Outer and Shot First, Kenny Lowe and Soren, and to our YouTube members: Green Roots Gaming, Ronya, Lock Lorick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, James Tillman, Disco, John Castle, and Gargamel196. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe everyone, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.